single moment. Hi, now y'all can hear me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday afternoon here on Kobold Chat. I'm so excited to have our guest today because Ted is one of my oldest friends.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Long time. You've been at this a heck of a lot longer than I have. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But,
Sure.
let me actually, I'm a little close today, y'all. Y'all like all up in my business. There we go. I was like way zoomed in on dot. Yeah, you've been doing this a lot, a lot longer than I have, but, I've been at it just almost 5 years or a little over 5 years now. And Ted was one of the first people to invite me to play a full-length Dungeons & Dragons campaign on Twitch. So I kind of blame you.
Oh, well, I mean, you're welcome, I guess.
I blame you for all of this. But I want to welcome everybody in. If you are new to the Kobold Twitch channel, I just want to say thanks for hanging out with us today. If you haven't already, it is September, which means you can actually get a discount. I believe it's 20% on subscribing to channels. And I know the Kobolds here in the Warrens sure would appreciate it. And you get some cute Kobold emotes like, who doesn't want Kobold emotes?
Get that hype train going.
Get that hype train. Welcome in, everybody. I'm super excited to see you here. And if you're returning for another afternoon of Kobold Chats, well, hot dog, I'm glad to see you too. Because this should be a really interesting chat. Usually Dot's unboxing something or talking about Kobold product. But instead, I'm kind of here to hang out with a bit of a fan of Kobold Press and somebody that's been using our products for a while. Ted, why don't you tell everybody, from the comfort of their home,
Sure.
who you are, what you doing, where they can find you.
Sure. Well, my name is Ted, and I run Nerd Immersion, which we're on every social media, but primary audience, I would say, is over on YouTube, where I do all sorts of different videos, from unboxings and product reviews to discussions and D&D story time. And something that I've become mostly known for at this point is breakneck up-to-date news coverage on anything Dungeons and Dragons, or really in some instances TTRPG related, as fast as I humanly can upload things.
One of my favorite things that you do is when you review other people's videos, it's like live, it's just you live reacting to their videos, and some of your reactions are really, really choice. Wizard spilled a lot of beans this weekend. Speaking of spilling beans, spilled a lot of beans this weekend, and I watched one of your videos that tickled me pink. You were so hyped that you got it right, which is such a Ted thing.
It is absolutely. Well, the internet doesn't know. So, like, a lot of folks, and just for frame of reference, folks, right? I do this. I have a 40-hour-a-week job. I have 2 kids, and I do Nerd Immersion on top of that. So if you see me tired in a video, it's probably because I'm tired, and it's like early in the morning when I'm able to do stuff. And this was like in the middle of the day. I was fully caffeinated. And I was super hype, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's so animated! This is crazy! I've never seen him this active or animated before."
I got pretty tickled. Well, gang, head on over to YouTube, and while we're sitting here, go follow Nerd Immersion and check out some of the content. If you dive deep into the bowels of Nerd Immersion, you will find a Princess of the Apocalypse campaign.
Yeah,
which is the early Dot years. I see a few of you in chat that I've not seen in a while. Somebody's like, "Oh, I love the new hair." Yeah, it's been 4 years. So I love it. Ted's secret. He's always tired.
Yeah, that's true. Very much so.
Well, you just got back from Gen Con. Now, I know you did a lot of reviewing over the weekend for Wizards, like big drops and stuff, but you also had a whole weekend at Gen Con. How did your Gen Con treat you?
So, I did a couple live streams from the floor. I did a handful of different interviews with some awesome people. And it was definitely interesting, right? It was about, I don't think it was a stretch to say about half the attendance, right? Maybe, I think average is like 60,000. I think we were right around 30.
Yeah, I was about to say it was somewhere between 40 and 50% probably.
So, I mean, I didn't get hit by a single backpack walking the convention floor.
Do you know what's crazy? I said the same thing to somebody. I was like, not once did some very tall person knock me around like a pinball. It was actually kind of nice, and because the vendor hall wasn't quite as packed, not with people, but with booths, everybody was like a little pushed out. Like the walk path seemed a little bit larger.
Yeah, well, they had that whole like kind of back area with the black curtains
Yeah.
where stuff was kind of cordoned off, which I also liked because, again, which blew a lot of people's minds who'd never seen it when I was walking around and taking pictures and live streams, is that like it's usually wall to wall.
Yep.
There is no space, but
Yep.
they actually had like back room booths for some groups back there where they could show off like the exclusive stuff they didn't want to have like out on the floor, which was really nice to have that to get away from all the, the hustle and bustle of the floor. They want to show off stuff they don't want to have out on the table because people could, see it or take it or whatever.
Or you could be like eBay and have a full break room in the back.
Yeah.
I heard, we joked about that in our marketing meeting that, my understanding is the YouTube booth had like a legitimate full on like break room office suite with like refrigerators and seating and all kinds of crazy stuff back there.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I chatted with some of the folks from eBay, which I was just like, why are you guys even here?
Yeah,
like
they were there for reselling of cards and things.
Yeah,
I think was their like big. But yeah, Alexander's right. They had 2 tables and a fridge, which is nuts.
That's it. It's crazy. I mean, the folks there were awesome. I chatted with them a bunch. They were doing like photo ops, and they had some famous artists from like Magic and other stuff. They were doing signings. So it was cool, and I definitely enjoyed the little bit of freedom that the space, like I could walk right up to a Chessex booth and look at dice. I didn't have to like
stand in the tiny
fight
line.
my way, fight my way in, wait for someone to leave and then like cut people off to duck in to look at like one set of dice before I have to move on and do it again.
The streets were also nice too, just like it was also maybe it's just me or maybe I just don't remember because it's always hot since I live in Atlanta, but I felt like Indy was ridiculously hot that week. Like I felt like this particular Gen Con, I remember it being hotter than usual.
Well, that's a little crazy because it's a month later.
That's what I mean. Is it was like way later, but it was so much hotter. I just remember being like the daytimes when I was like bustling between hotels or like trying to hit production was like, like man, oh man.
I think that might just be you running.
Maybe that was me just running around.
Because it definitely, to me, it felt. I liked the timing. The only downside is, right, it's football season, so the stadium.
Right, which was the big Sunday fiasco when all of the Colts fans poured into downtown.
Yeah.
You know what, Alexander's right. Maybe it wasn't the heat so much as the humidity in the air. Yeah, I'm actually hella used to that. Living here in Atlanta, but... Anyways, well, I'm glad you had a good Gen Con. I know you interviewed a couple people, including our dear Wolfgang.
I did. It's the first time I've gotten to meet him in person, which was we've been conversing in email for like 6 years.
Oh, okay.
From like way back in playtest for Toma Beasts 1.
Okay.
I don't even.
I feel like I remember that because if I'm correct, now please correct me if I'm wrong. You are the Swolbold.
I am.
Contributor.
That is me, yes.
Okay. I thought so. So everybody that loves the Swolbold, we have Ted to thank for the Swolbold. And I'm pretty sure we were playing Princess of the Apocalypse when you submitted that.
We were, and it was one of the Extra Life live streams that you were a part of.
That's right.
It was earlier. It wasn't the session you were in. It was like 2 sessions prior when I made that thing up for the first time.
That's
and
right.
And it was debuted. In like part of the craziness of Deck of Many Things, Wildness Adventure.
Oh yeah, that's right. Y'all, let me tell y'all, somewhere out there is probably that stream as well.
Oh yeah.
If you want to see Dot at her, I trolled Ted so hard. He was like, you want to join us for this Extra Life charity event? As like a cancer survivor myself, I was super down. Like I'm always down every year to pick a charity, and man, oh man, he did not know what he was getting into. So I was like, hey, I'm going to set up my own donation. And then every time somebody donates, I'm going to give my princess a new magical item. Is that cool? Mm-hmm. Princess Penelope Periwinkle was her name. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, I don't think either of us expected how many people were going to donate to like the shared campaign. So Princess Penelope Periwinkle ended up hecka lit with items from like magical glass slippers to all kinds of stuff. And y'all, when we finally got into that game, she might have been broken, like full on broken.
The pillow is the one. The pillow that like let you get like a long rest or a short rest for like no time.
Something silly like that. And then there was like because I built it off of a really broken build anyways. I feel like it was like a homebrew princess, remember? And it was so silly. There was like the warrior princess and I chose the princess as like animals. let me sing you to sleep. She was stupid ridiculous, and I trolled you so hard on that game, and I apologize
no,
now
it's fine.
5 years later.
It made for great streaming. So here, I think I'll drop it here in the chat.
Oh,
that's
wait,
a link.
here, drop it to me in the chat, and I'll drop it in the other chat, the Zoom chat.
This is the playlist, I think, for that live stream, that 24 hours.
And it was a 24-hour live stream, so you were like rolling through it. Yeah, because I played two sets.
I think you did two. Yeah.
It was so silly and so wonderful. It was a lot of fun, y'all. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it was crazy. We did, and I think we did 2 years of it too. I think we did.
Yeah.
The first year, and then like the second year I did it, 2017 and 2018, I think, or 2016 and 2017. And it was a wild time. We had some craziness. There's a lot of it was very spooky themed because it was right around this time. So if you like pumpkins, there's a lot of pumpkin stuff going on with that. Yeah, it was. I was not anticipating the amount of donations and wildness that happened. Then again, crazy. I didn't anticipate, Celeste playing a tank robot guy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, getting Celeste and I at a table can be dangerous.
Oh my God. And we did, and that's funny that you mentioned that. We did that, if you recall, live at Gen Con.
Oh, that's right. My first Gen Con.
Yeah, your first
Gen
Con.
Because we were still playing the Princess of the Apocalypse campaign.
And we had Celeste sub in, and we did it from the Hilton a conference room or something.
That was her handsome lion man. Yeah, I remember that.
That was live from random conference room in Gen Con, where we're just like, we're gonna set up here and hopefully no one kicks us out.
Bucky was with us for that one too.
Yep.
Because he was in it, and Celeste, and Brittany, and if y'all are Venture Maidens fans, we had a few of the Venture Maidens fans around. That was the year I got this tat, the one that Brittany put on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very funny. So anyways, back to Swolbolds. So Swolbolds made their debut in the game where Dot trolled Ted.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy because now the Swolbold is like a huge fan favorite for us. So yeah, you've obviously contributed, but you've also used a lot of Kobold Press product like over the years, right? So I imagine getting to like meet Wolfgang was kind of cool. Yeah,
so I don't even know how I got looped into the playtest stuff with Tome of Beasts 1. I really can't even remember. It might have just been like an outreach email from Wolfgang or somebody else, and was just like, oh, hey, we have this thing we're going to try out. We see you play games on the internet. Would you want to test it out? And I did the Undead Butterfly Swarm from Kobold Press, Tome of Beasts 1.
Yeah.
And I almost killed my entire party with this Butterfly Swarm. It was some people's like first campaign they were ever in. It was like the 6th or 7th session in.
Y'all, gust of wind.
And it was pretty nutty. And they were like, it's just butterflies. It's fine. But yeah, we almost killed them with that. And then I've been using Kobold Press over the years all the time. And I told Wolfgang this when I was there. I said, my players know the monster manual inside out backwards. I'm not surprising them with something from the monster manual. But if I pull out something that, first of all, descriptive text to describe what the creature looks like in the Tome of Beasts, Creature Codex, all that stuff makes it easy. And then I could just be like, oh, here's this new monster you've never heard of before. You can't guess or metagame what its statistics or abilities are.
Right.
And that was awesome. But to see Wolfgang, who I was like, I want this monster to be for the Creature Codex, the Swolbold. And I was just like, this, I described it as like, it's like, think about it as like a Bruce Banner typical Kobold versus like a Hulk Swolbold. And I was like, the only couple things I want to say is it's like a big hulking monster. It's not smart. It's a bruiser. It's jumping. It's think Hulk, right? And I was like, and Swolbold's the name. You can obviously change it if you want, because
Why would we ever do that?
I really didn't think it was gonna make it in as it was, and I was like, the only other thing is orange is my color. So if you can make it orange,
make him an orange kobold, yeah.
And like everything I suggested made its way through, and I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, we now have actually, I want to think, so we do have a Swolbold arm, so, if you just need that, but we've started, for all of you that love to give bits to the channel, we love your bits, and one of the cool things is you can get extra emotes from your bits, so we're building out our bestiary in our emote, our bits emotes, and I think actually the first one you get for giving bits to the channel is the original Swolbold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
there it is. So, it's right there. I love it so much. You know what's interesting? I've actually not put it in one of my campaigns yet. It's more like a mascot at this point. It's like a
Sure.
joke. I threatened my players with it. I was like, don't make me break out the Swolbold.
Well, and they have, and you guys, by the way, if you guys don't know, Kobold Press does amazing stuff with their blog, expanding the codex and stuff like that. There's a whole section on Swolbolds with feats and expanded stuff to build that stuff out, which is just awesome. And yeah, they are a mainstay fixture in my homebrew campaign, like a central part, because obviously, why wouldn't they be?
Why wouldn't they be? Yeah. I just realized I'm wearing my "Do You Even Lift Swolbold" shirt.
Yeah.
Come on. Do you even? Well, that's cool. So you said you got a chance to chat with Wolfgang. You said it was kind of cool because it was the first time y'all had met in person. Did he spill any beans? Did he surprise you in any way?
Well, he loves Scarlet Citadel. He gushed over Scarlet Citadel for a while. But we talked about the creation of what goes into who's involved with all the different things and what it's like to just be someone who's known for creating these. I guess I'd call them like a higher tier or maybe more difficult monsters, right? Because I think that's true, and I think anybody who's played with Kobold Press exclusively can know that that's the case. Like the monsters are a little more on the lethality scale, which obviously I feel like challenge rating is broken anyway. You can't use it. You can't challenge rating 1 is not the same for every monster.
No.
But I appreciate as an old school D&D player and playing for much more difficult, crazier editions. I appreciate the alternative mechanics, the improved lethality, extra abilities with crazy saving throws and stuff like that. I like that. That fits into the play style of games I like to play and games I like to run. And just to see Wolfgang's been at this for a while, but just the childlike joy and wonder of going into like building things like the Ogre-Pede and stuff like that were all things we discussed, and it was awesome.
Yeah. There's our Ogre-Pede for days, says Alexander. Very cool. And did you have a chance to chat with Amanda as well?
I did, and it's funny. We chatted about what was going on with Kobold Guide to Monsters, which, if you guys again unaware, all of the Kobold Guide to X series of books are like really awesome little compilations of interesting things about all different aspects of D&D and RPGs. And they're super insightful if you want to, learn a little bit more, build stuff out, world building and things like that. So we got to talk about how crazy, those sold out. You guys were selling out of stuff left and right at Gen Con, which is awesome.
I want to think our big seller, the pocket guides, let's be real. The first time you pick up a pocket guide, you're like, why have I ever bought a full-size book in my life? And then, but the maps, actually, the map folio for Scarlet Citadel was a huge deal. Like, some people were just buying the map folio outside of the campaign itself, which, I think kind of blew all of our minds. Sure blew our minds. So, I think, actually, okay, Alexander, you're in luck. We actually have the giant shark bowl ooze as the next emote in the in our bestiary. So there you go. Everybody's calling him out, and I just happen to have him prepped. Look at me go.
Yeah, that was also something that I've thrown at my players, which has been they were like, what is happening?
This? Yeah. I've been secretly writing a lair, and it's nice. A nautical themed one. So I've been getting to break into some of the really cool coastal and nautical themed monsters from the second tome of Beast, because there are some great ones. I have a deep love of the carnivorous ship. The carnivorous ship is one of the best monsters that has ever been created. Sometimes I try to trick my players and then they trick me, because that's the bane of a GM.
Sure.
But the one time I got to use the carnivorous ship, they did not see it coming. And it was glorious. I cackled like a witch on stream. I was so excited that I totally tricked them. And so I've actually banked the giant shark bowl ooze for, So, Yes, nautical lair. Things are coming. I can't spill too many beans because they'll get really mad at me. But that's actually, I'll be putting some final touches on that actually after we're done today. So, but yeah, the little giant shark bull ooze has been on my. I was like, how does one use such an item, or use such a beast or such a monster? So, okay, so I get the vibe that you've used a lot of our like codex book, right? You've used the codex, you've used our monster manuals,
Yep.
our bestiaries.
Yeah.
But what else have you like brought to your tables? Because I mean, you have a pretty long-term campaign, right? Like your home game is like no small gem.
Yeah.
It's been going a long time.
Yeah, it's like 100 well, so it's on temporary hiatus while we wait for one of our players to be able to come back. But it's like 120 something sessions long. So it's about 3 years,
Wow.
with breaks and stuff. Yeah, so what I've obviously, like you said, monsters and things like that are a no-brainer from Kobold Press. But I also have used a lot of the alternative weapon mechanics and things from like the Midgard campaign setting or the hero book. Adding in like the different maneuvers that you can do with the different kinds of weapons, and I put those in like essentially in like a dojo training thing where you can train with someone to learn that, because I didn't have that when I started the campaign, and I didn't want to just all of a sudden be like, oh, like, yeah, you guys know how to do this now. So I was like, if you go and you train with people masters of a specific weapon, then you can unlock these abilities and have them. So that can give you a little more combat.
That's a cool narrative
options.
way to like handle that option. I dig that a lot. That's super cool. You did some of that, I think, too, with us when we were running Princess, but it was more like when we leveled up, like we always had our little like campfires.
Yeah.
Right. We got to like talk about what does leveling up look like, right? Like it was never just a thing that happened. It wasn't like magic, like it is in a video game. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that's something that I think is, it's an opportunity to use that, because it is often treated like that. And I mean, that's how the game is written, right? Like, oh, you level up and boom, that's it.
Magic. Yeah.
And like all of a sudden I'm way more skilled today than I was yesterday. So if you can try and build in the narrative that like it's training, and obviously like we lucked out because we happen to have like a really great group, and like we had a wizard, right? So it's easy for a wizard to go and do study, right? And like learn new spells. And things like that. I
thought the tattoo, right? It was all about like color theory and the tattoo. Like he was like, I remember that.
Yeah, and he had. I mean, Bucky, it was great, and I mean, and then we had, Davis, who was multi-classing like 8 times every time we leveled up. He was a different class, which was wild.
That's right. He had like 3 or 4 classes before it was over with. Yeah, he was like a druid and a ranger
and a cleric
and something else too. Maybe it was a rogue. I can't remember. Yeah, that was very silly. I remember that. And he had all of the pets. He had all he had like the little tangle creature and the rock. Yep. He had the geode. We had the geode too. That was so crazy, man. Y'all.
We had
that feels like a long time ago.
I mean, it was probably 2-3 years ago or more at this point.
Yeah.
But I've also used a lot of the Kobold Press, like the various lair books, especially if I'm like in a bind and I don't know what I want to do, or my players are like, I throw something on like a job board or like some conspiracy theory, which obviously I should have built out because that's what they're going to go for anyway.
Right.
And then they go and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have anything prepared for this. And I'll be like, well, let me either one to name drop prepared as an option.
I was about to say, I was literally about to say, one of my most used thing is prepared. Like I love the prepared series.
And those are, and there's 2 of them, which is great. But I'll often be like, okay, I need to fill a couple hours maybe, or like, at least enough time that I can think about what's going to happen next. So I can be like, okay, it's I don't know, it's like maybe they're going to be down by the docks, and I'll like flip through the lair book and I go, oh, this is kind of dock adjacent. We'll use this. Yep. And then I'm like, then I have to do all the mental math of like, okay, remove all the Midgard stuff from it and like fit it to my world. But then like, oh, there's no established like rat guild. All right, well, we'll make it work. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it. There is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely been an interesting thing, and I've used a handful of those in a variety of different locations and catered them to fit like the different parts of my campaign. And those are really, really good because they're well designed. They have a little bit of lore in them. They all have maps associated. And they also have like, they take the magic item concept out of it too, because I could just like read it and be like, oh, it's got these magic items and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like actually it's funny. This is how things happen. I ran a prepared that I quite liked for a charity event, and had so much fun at that charity event with that table of ladies that I inevitably scooped them all up and ended up running a campaign from that prepared, and then I wrote this campaign, which is kind of being converted into the lair that I'm currently writing. So it was kind of a strange little through line. But yeah, we the prepared series is really, really awesome. For those of you that don't know, it is a series of like prompts, like one-shot prompts that have really nice maps. And one of the things I love about it, because there's 1 and 2, so you've got like quite a few of them. But they start and it's like, this is 1st to 3rd level. Right, and then this is 4th to 6th level, and so they kind of break it down so you have a series, literally, of prepared one shots, depending on the level of your players, and they're great. They're really, really great. I've even sometimes taken like 2 prepared and like weaved them. That was like they start here and they work into this one. I'm a big fan of that. But Alexander brings up another good point, which is if you like those extra weapon styles, right, the fighting options and things, I believe that Beyond Damage Dice 2 just dropped or is now available. You can hit our social media and find out more about that, but that gives you some extra options as well if you like kind of working those things into your table.
Yeah, and that's definitely there's definitely inspiration either one way or the other from the maneuvers and stuff that were in. I think it's in the Hero's Handbook, but that's definitely something that I like, and it's something that I will be, as we kind of wind down this campaign to roll into a secondary one. These are things I want to have established up front that exist, so I can just have this. Okay, here you go. Ready to go out the gate.
Ready to go. Yeah, I see a few people saying that they're running prepared. You ran the Impregnable Fortress of Dib. I have to say, I think that's actually the most popular of all the prepared. I hear about it a lot from like outside sources, and then when I first came on to Kobold, somebody was like, if you're gonna run anything, you gotta run this, and I was like, oh, I don't know why. And then for our 15th anniversary, I want to believe that No Medic actually ran that.
I was in it.
That's right, you were in it.
Weren't you in it too?
I was in it too.
Yeah, we both played in it together.
That's right. You're totally right. You're totally right. So, but there's like a second. So Prepared 2 has like a follow-up to the original version, which is lots and lots of fun. It's another fun like one-shot where I think that it's a perfect setup to troll your players.
Okay.
Because you're set up to believe you're going to a fortress. Spoiler alert. Everybody's definition of a fortress is different. That's what I'll say to that.
Sure.
That's what I'll say to that. And so, the setup can be a lot of fun. The first time, Noam told me about the first time that he played, somebody really built it up. Like, they had traveled through all of these towns, and all of the locals were like, we can't break into the fortress. Nobody's ever been able to get in. Oh, woe is us. Like, how are we ever going to defeat this fortress? And so, when the party rolled up, they were looking for a fortress, not for a tipped-over wagon over a hole, And so they were like, what? I also think too the predicament of the turned-over cart, right, is, it's such an interesting look at how a party handles things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parties are just like, burn it to the ground, just burn the whole thing,
why not,
right?
Right.
Right. Why wouldn't you? It's just a cart. I had one person one time tell me that their party stole it. They were just like, screw you, we're stealing
the cart.
We're taking your cart. And so they flipped the cart over and put new wheels on it and stole his cart. And so it's one of those, I think, cheeky, kind of fun, and really a great, a great look at kind of the vibe of Kobold Press and the kind of fun that can be had, but also the elevated danger, as you were talking about, that can come out of our beast and those kind of things. So that's really fun.
Definitely.
I love that. I apologize, y'all. My cat is being so noisy. She feels like she needs to be part of this conversation. You really do. Kai Hawkeye, they're the prepared are. I actually bought the first prepared because we had some printed at Gen Con. I think hopefully we're gonna get some more, but you can get them actually printed from our store. I'm gonna have to order the second one because they're super thin and they fit really nicely in a backpack, and it's just like break them out and run them. And so I really dig that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're definitely, like you said, conventions, pickup games, whatever kind of stuff you're doing. It'll definitely go a long way. So
Yeah, Alexander said he only took 4, and they sold out very quickly. I don't think we expected them to, but every time I walked in the booth, I was like, "Hey, psst, psst, buy prepared." So maybe it helped. Who knows? Maybe it scared people off.
yeah.
But yeah. All right, cool. So you've been running this home game, you were saying, for like 3 years. You've been putting kind of merging Kobold Press stuff into your world lore.
Yeah.
Have you ever played anything in Midgard proper?
I have not. I was hoping to get, other than the Impenetrable Fortress of Dib.
Right.
I was hoping to get into some stuff at Gen Con just to get a chance to play some stuff, and I just didn't have the time,
Yeah, the con time.
And everything was sold. Everything, by the time I was looking, most of the stuff was sold out anyway. So no, I mean, I love the world, and I've read a lot into it. Oh, you know what? I lied. I ran an adventure. It was again another one for my home world. It was a playtest thing for something where there was like a horse race. I can't remember where it is. Trombe, I want to say, was the name of the town for Midgard. I'd run that whole playtest encounter, and that was super fun.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to actually break into a Midgard proper game.
I've just kind of hit my groove of like really absorbing Midgard lore. I mean, I've been kind of doing it since I've started working for Kobold. November will be a year, everybody. I've been an official Kobold for almost a year.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. But as I started, I was like, I got to learn everything I can about Midgard. And then the Midgard World book arrives, and you're like, "Oh, this is a history book." And so it's been a really slow, like, digestive process. And so I've been, I'm like in the 7 cities, specifically the Middle Sea right now. That's like I'm absorbing a lot of Middle Sea lore, or at least what's available. But yeah, so I look forward to that. Maybe you'll have to have me back at your table if you decide to Midgard it up. I'd like to see what you would do with something like that.
We could talk. Time is scheduling is always the issue.
I know, because it's not like you're not busy or anything.
Yeah, I know.
Raising a child.
Two children.
That's right. I forgot. We were still gaming when the first one came around, and we were done gaming when the second one came around. I forgot you have 2 chitrons.
5 and 2. So it's a crazy time. But yeah, no, we can. I'm looking to build in some more. As they're getting older, things are getting easier. I'm looking to try to build in some more live streams and stuff on the channel, aside from just the one, because everybody likes different. They like seeing rotating people, and I've had the same 3 people at my table for 3 years, which is a home game, which is nice because everybody's in person.
It's very cool. And let's be real, your new studio setup is legit.
Yeah, it's been a work in progress for sure, but things are going well for sure. So. I would love to get you back into a game, even if it's just like some sort of short series.
Can I play Princess Penelope Periwinkle?
I mean, at this point we've built it up so much here in this chat. I feel like you know what, chat, I think this was a long con.
This was a long con over 5 years.
She's been building this up. She introed you to the character so that everybody be like, "Oh my god, that was so fun," so that she could be like, "Oh, well, what do you think?" And this will be our opportunity to bring her back. I mean,
maybe she's actually the protagonist now. I mean, she was close to it then.
There was a lot of economical shifts and political movements we were doing towards the end of there, with the cabbage and the cabbage and the gourds and so many.
Oh, that's right. There were cabbages. I forgot about the gourds too. There was like a gourd shortage.
Yeah, well, they were like they were outlawed and they were taken over by a cabbage corporation.
Right, that's
right. Guys, those live streams get wild because don't forget, most of the time when I was doing those, I'm doing a live stream. I'm DMing for 24 hours.
Oh man.
So towards the end, I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want, let's go. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh man. That's ridiculous. I think if I was gonna come back and troll, I promise not to troll Ted. Maybe I'll just troll your players.
Either way, we'll
Because
figure
you have to
something out.
understand, Princess Penelope Periwinkle had never left her tower.
Yes.
Right? For the charity game was the first time her dad had cut her off and she was getting to leave the tower. And so she was out trying to write and learn everything she could about what good adventurers do.
Which was not the group she should have been
the group she should have been with, because actually I think out there somewhere are my notes of the 5 things she learned about good adventurers, which is like always knock. I'll have to remember. It was so stupid. It was so stupid, ridiculous. But anyways, maybe now I can hold you accountable to it, Ted, because we talked about it live. But yeah, you should definitely. And maybe we'll have to chat about getting you over here to roll some dice with us now that we're gearing up for new things.
Yeah, you let me know. I'd love to.
All right, chat. We have hit that 20-minute mark in our countdown. That means it's time for you to start asking questions. So drop them in chat. Put question in front of it, or like make it really known for me, because I'm kind of blind, like super blind, and make it easy for me, and we'll get some questions over to Ted. Sure. But you churn through looking at a lot of content. Yes. I mean, to run the YouTube channel, I can't imagine like how many unboxings, how many books, and how many things you've kind of gone through. So I think, the question is, it sounds like a silly question, but sure. What are trends or things that you're beginning to see with a lot of the new content coming out that you think might be kind of the future of where this tabletop stuff is going?
Yeah. So, like you said, it's definitely a ton of content. I'm seeing stuff. Obviously, I think with any third party or otherwise, obviously PDFs are key. I don't understand why we can't get PDFs from any of the official stuff. I know it leads to the potential of sharing and stuff like that, but like it's a standard practice in the industry. Why are PDFs not? I would love to see in the future, at least. I can't tell if it's going to trend that way, but like I purchase a physical book and either I get a discount code to a PDF or I get the PDF as well. That'd also help you sell physical product. If it's like I buy a book and I get the PDF.
I get the PDF to go with it. Yeah, I would actually agree. I feel like we're starting to do some similar things. I know that we're doing like codes for VTTs and stuff like that.
Sure, right. Press, same thing. Yeah. Especially, if in the world, the way it is, virtual tabletops are obviously super important. So that's definitely something as well. I think we're going to start to see more virtual tabletop like specific stuff. Seems like we might start seeing, like WotC internal virtual tabletops, which I'm not sure how. I don't think that that's the right move, personally.
They tend to do their own thing, don't they?
They do. And I mean, I'm sure it's a market share thing. Like we see how much money virtual tabletops make. We see how much money Kickstarters make. How can we get our piece of that pie?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see changes to the way things work after the recent announcements to try and have them hone in on, like, we see multiple $1 million Kickstarters a year for tabletop stuff. How can we make it so that we get a portion of that or all of it? Which is a little doom and gloom. So let's go to something more happy.
Well, speaking of happy, Alexander has reminded everybody you could actually now get Kobold Press books on quite a few VTTs.
Yeah.
Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Shard, which is my new favorite, and Foundry, actually, for all you Foundry folk out there. So,
So I have no concept of Shard or Foundry, which is something.
So I'm actually really into Shard right now. You should check that out because it's free for you to like sign up and start or whatever. But the Shard basic online box, right, when you sign up, comes with some Kobold Press content already, which is really, really nice. But it is 5e specific. But one of the things I really love about it is how easy it is. Sometimes I spend a lot of time in VTTs like setting up for my scenarios or for my encounters. Mm-hmm. It is so easy to set up for an encounter, like on the spot that fast as a GM. So very similar to others, right? You build your campaign, people bring in their character sheets. I found their version of the Charactermancer, like the character building process, also super duper easy because it actually looks like a character sheet.
Sure.
Like you go down the character sheet instead of it feeling like something different and then it populates into the character sheet. It feels like you're working on the character sheet. But one of the really cool things about it is like if they end up in an encounter, because we can never plan for what our characters are going to do. And I could spend 2 weeks planning for something and they're going to completely ignore that encounter or completely miss it. there are some really easy ways to do it. So
Okay.
it's all built in. One of the other things I love is instead of like every time I click something or there's a hyperlink, it opens up another freaking window that I get lost in. Instead, it does like pop-up boxes, so they like
Okay.
come and go. Everything's hyperlinked, so if I don't know what something is or my characters don't know what a condition is, it's very
Sure.
easy for them to find out without having to go all the way over to a compendium. And then adding, right? You add your monsters and things direct in, super duper easy, and it actually creates a standing initiative order that you can like
Very nice.
rearrange, which is really cool. And then there's like an arrow, so like when monster one goes, you hit the arrow and it goes to the next person, and so everybody on the screen can see your initiative order. Another cool thing it does is if you're lacking a map, it has a search engine inside of Shard that allows
Oh,
you to
wow.
go and search like free maps online, and you can load them
Very cool.
straight in. The same thing for like, character images and stuff like that. It goes and searches Google for what is considered like open or free content, and then you can like pop a character image in instead of for your token or whatever. So it's got a lot of really really cool things. I'm hoping to actually fully run a campaign in it, because I would like to get my hands on some of those really cool combat things like their initiative turn order and pulling
Sure.
maps from online and some stuff like that. But yeah. And I know that people have really started to love on Foundry, which is why we started putting some Kobold Press product on there. I myself have not had a chance to use Foundry, but I know a lot of people are just like hot to trot about it. So
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I did Fantasy Grounds a while when it first, back in the day, like 6 years ago or something like that. And I did roll 20. But a lot for me, like I'm either all in or not at all with virtual tabletops, which is my thing. Like I want to be fully immersed in it. I want to do the dynamic lighting. I want to have everything work the way it should. Or I'm just like, screw that. I'll just do theater of the mind for the whole
we'll
thing
do the whole thing.
because I don't like being in between. I like to either be everybody's in it and like it does what it needs to do, or I'll just describe it and we'll make it work. So if these are as easy as
it's so, and that's what makes it so easy for me, because it's like, oh well, if I didn't prep an encounter, I'm not going to do it right now live with my players. But this makes it pretty easy and low key for like drawing that in and making that happen, which is pretty cool. And the way you can like pre-set up your encounters by number, which is really really cool. So there's a lot of neat options in Shard if you haven't checked it out. It comes highly recommended by this here dot.
Sure.
But looks like we have a couple questions coming through. I'm gonna imagine this one. Goats are goat. Question: any new monster supplements coming down the pipeline? I'm guessing that's a general Kobold Press question.
I'm gonna assume. Yeah.
Alexander would yell at me a lot if I answered that question. So what I can tell you is that Kobold Press loves monsters and beasts a lot. Creatures. We love creatures. That's how I can answer that. But we had another great question. Open licensing going away? If so, 2024 or before? Thoughts on that?
Yeah. So this is something that I've been talking about, and obviously we talked about me calling stuff out and being super hype about it earlier on. But with the 50th anniversary of D&D coming up in 2024, we know that whatever it's going to be officially called, the expanded, advanced, plus gold anniversary edition of 5e, which is supposed to be backwards compatible with all of our stuff we already have, so we're not losing out on that. It's coming in 2024. My internal prediction, which obviously people can take it one way or the other, is because of these multi-million-dollar Kickstarters from groups like MCDM and all these other folks, Ghostfire Gaming, Kobold Press, doing all this great work, amazing Kickstarters, making a ton of money. I feel like, corporate is corporate, and Hasbro is going to be like, we want a piece of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like what they're going to say is, we're going to make our 5.5e with all of our updated rules and our updated races and all that. And like, here it is, the fresh new thing that everybody wants. If you want to publish third party, it's got to go through the DMs Guild. So we get it 50% off the top. So I don't think the 5e open game license that we have right now is not going anywhere. And if we learned anything from 4th edition, it didn't have one, and look at what happened.
Right.
And obviously the 3rd edition one led to things like Pathfinder existing.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to get rid of the open game license that we have that has been so successful for 5e. But what they'll say is, that's great, and you can keep doing that. But if you want to use the fresh new stuff that's more balanced and everybody wants it because it's new, then you got to come through us to do your publishing. so that we can get our piece of it. That's my prediction. But I also predict that, similar to like, there are still people playing second edition now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be like, that's cool. I'm going to stick with 5e as it
Yeah.
stands because I like the way that stuff's put out by other groups.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, right? And a lot of people are saying, they might not. But I just feel like the trending is Hasbro put us as a charge of a third of our company to run all of this stuff. And we've made commitments to double our profits over 5 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What's a great way? And it's snag the virtual tabletop market, snag a character creation sheet or something like that, and take a portion of these huge Kickstarter gains. And that's the only way I can see from a business standpoint. Like, you don't want to completely alienate your audience, but you want to say, like, you guys keep doing what you're doing, but we want a piece. And this is how we do it. Yeah. Unless they do licensing, which is another thing they could do.
Yeah. And it seems like chat kind of agrees with you on that. Like, licensing may be some kind of option for them, right? Mm-hmm. Especially with some of our current BTTs, like D&D Beyond and stuff.
Sure. Right. Well, I mean, the name, right, is D&D Beyond. But if they're working on their own virtual tabletop character creation sheet, and it doesn't use D&D Beyond, what are you going to do to everybody who's sunk hundreds of dollars into D&D Beyond for years to make this their digital platform of choice? Yeah. Because you won't allow us to have PDFs.
Right.
So, like, you're going to, like, I don't know if they're just like, don't care, the Hasbro big corporate money, or they're like, we don't want to lose all of the people who are like, I sunk all this money into these other platforms, and you're just going to pull the rug out from underneath me, and now I have to go with, your way or the highway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I would agree with DM Toolbox here. Like, WotC's been supportive of third-party communities, including Kobold Press, right?
Sure, yeah.
So hopefully they'll figure out some way to mitigate the oncoming change, because we know the change is coming. And then, I'm with Walkie Low here. I actually think that maybe WotC will purchase D&D Beyond, which would be the smart move.
That would be the smartest move for them, because I mean, I've been on both sides of the D&D Beyond argument and stuff like that for the longest time. If they launched 5e with D&D Beyond or something similar, everybody would have been what we use,
right?
And we would have there wouldn't have been a question. But D&D Beyond launching 3 to 5 years into the existence of 5e, everybody's already had something that they're using. Mm-hmm. It's got all of the stuff, and it's officially supported, which is nice. But like, at this point, if you're going to launch a new edition or whatever you want to be, you could roll something out from the start. But what about everything that's already happened?
Yeah. What else is out there? Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, I can promise you all this: Kobold Press is not going anywhere.
Right. I mean, we've got Midgard, like we were just talking about, and it's been mentioned in the chat. And that's, I think, where we will not see any changes. Any of these groups that have built whether it's Midgard or Grim Hollow or any of these kind of things that people have built out their own worlds within the world of open game license and taken it the step further with their own supplements and products, that's going to stay the same. And you might find that if whatever they do in the future does alienate most of the group, it's going to be like, that's fine. You do what you want. I'm going to go play in Midgard and have fun and not worry about any of this,
Yep, absolutely. Well, hopefully all of you, if you actually haven't cracked open Midgard, as somebody that is doing the Midgard dive, it's actually rather inspiring for me as a GM. Like, I'm finding a lot of unique things, right? When you look at world building period, which can be such a daunting task for a GM that's like trying to create their world. You're trying to build out pantheons and stuff like that. I've been diving really deep into the pantheons. That's all I can tell you about the lair coming out. But I've been looking at these things, and I found quite a bit of inspiration out of it. It's just an incredible setting, and every time I like get to a new section and I read something, I'm like, oh, I have to know more about that. And then I got to go jump to another section of the book, and then I read, a whole other chapter on this other thing. But it's a really great setting. And there's actually a lot of free stuff to support you inside of Midgard. My favorite being, of course, our online Midgard map. If y'all did not know, the entire Midgard map is online for free in a, like, virtual interactive map. You can search cities. One of my favorite things right now, because we're on the sea, and there's like the whole nautical thing of like knowing how many miles and clicks from one point to one point you are when you're sailing on the water. So it has a thing where I can be like, from here to here is how many miles? So cool.
Yes.
So cool. So I not because I'm wearing a Kobold Press t-shirt, but because I'm a proper fan of Midgard. You should. I encourage you all to go check it out. And we did just update the Midgard World Book for 5e. So you have some kind of updates in there. I believe there's like some fresh tables and stuff like that that better fit the 5e setting. So.
Yeah, it's well, like, to that point, I've been obviously playing in my homebrew world, like you said, for 3 years at this point. And, ideally at some point in my career, I would love to have this be a physical book that someone can get.
Yeah.
But Kobold Press is I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to try to hold myself to that standard of like knowledge and lore and pantheon and stuff like
Wolfgang. No.
I know. But that's my point though. I see the amount of I see the size of the book, right? And then I see see my videos if you want to see my thoughts on recent WotC products. But I feel like there's a ton of lore and so much stuff packed in there. And it's the amount of stuff that I would feel comfortable having in my own, my own world. That's what I'd like to have when my players roll into town A. And I'm like, okay, this is what I have, not like my three scribbles on a piece of paper in my notebook, conspiracy theorist, good beer, werewolves, ? What is that? How am I going to make a town out of that? But if I have all this stuff built out ahead of time, and I'm like, okay, now I know what I have in my toolbox that I can play in. But then, again, building out my own pantheon so that, if I do want to publish a book at some point, I don't have to worry about dealing with IP. It's all my stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the caliber that I want to hold my own stuff to. That's what I'm working towards. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, there's a whole team there. So I'm not obviously going to say that I can do this all by myself, but I know what I want to get to. Or at least I have it as a template too, right? This is
a great template. It looks like Alexander was saying the world books took about 10 years of notes and 2 years of writing to actually kind of come to fruition. And again, that original world book has gone through a few updates, I believe, right? So it's been converted back for 5th edition and some other stuff like that. So, which is pretty huge. So a great question, Waki, about printing and shipping right now. It is a major issue, so please be patient with us. My understanding is anything that is out of print will come back into print. You'll be able to get it. The real question is always timeline. So if you keep an eye on our social media, you'll kind of be in the know when those things come back. And then, of course, if you're joining us for PAX U, so anybody that's going to PAX Unplugged, Kobold Press will be there. I'll get to be there. I'm very excited. Oh, really? Okay, great.
Well,
nice.
Philly's that's essentially my home convention back when I used to do costume conventions and stuff. I've been going to Philly cons for 10 years or more. So I know the area well. Cool. It's only it's a short drive for me.
I have only ever been to Philadelphia one time, and it was for an hour because I was driving from Jersey there to catch a flight or to pick somebody up, and then I was driving south. So I have not been to Philly proper ever before, so I'm going to get to spend a few days in Philly. And a very cold month, I understand.
It could be, yeah. It's going to be a big change from Atlanta. So
yeah, it'll definitely not be Atlanta in December, that's for sure. I'll have to check the calendar, but I believe PAX U is the first weekend in December.
It is the 9th, the weekend of the 9th.
The second weekend in December. So Thursday the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th of December. So yeah, but we'll be there, and if you're going to be on site, obviously we'll have some of our books there as well, and available for you.
Yeah, I mean, I said, I'll be there. We should definitely hang out for sure. But I'll be around too. And I'll probably be swinging by the Kobold booth to chat with some folks.
I'm hoping to have a new, I got inspired seeing everybody else's booths, and I'm hoping this time around Kobold's going to have our own little streaming hub. Little streaming booth. I'm working on what that might look like for the weekend. But I do know one of our big things this year's for Gen Con, we gave away Swolbold minis. And
I know.
Ted got his. And so I'm sure we'll have some stuff. Alexander was talking about having some Swolbold stickers this time around. So definitely drop by the booth because we've got free goodies. And then, of course, we're going to have a slew of new stock for anything that maybe you didn't get your hands on at Gen Con or you've been waiting on. So very exciting. Now, a lot of questions here about Courts of the Shadowfae and the new announcement for our Kickstarter. So as we round up, I'm going to highlight some of those things, but we are at time. So Ted, just remind everybody where they can find you, your stuff, check your things
Sure.
out, and then I'll wrap us up.
All right. Yeah. So easiest way to find me is Nerd Immersion on all of the social medias. Really active on Twitter, and I've got a TikTok and all sorts of other stuff like that. Discord server. But if you head over to Nerd Immersion on YouTube, it's just youtube.com/Nerd Immersion. You can find all of my videos. If you search through the playlist, you can look for the Princess of the Apocalypse playlist and see Dot playing way back in the day.
I played a drow. That's the only drow I've ever played.
A drow rogue, and I mean accent on point.
We dug a hole. We dug a hole for the whole first episode. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, and there was a whole big focus on pickles for a while.
Oh, that's right. There was a pickle salesman we became obsessed with. Yeah.
And then you guys had this whole concept of trying to enter a thieves guild and like threaten the thieves guild as like
we
level
did
5
that.
party members.
They put us down to basically a poop shoot.
Yep.
We fell down the poop shoot. I remember that.
That was wild. And then we had a whole like there's a Batman. Brittany's character was Batman.
Oh yeah, at one point I remember that. Justice.
Yeah. That was my voice whenever she wasn't there. That's what she sounded like. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun in that game, and there's some really memorable quotes. A lot of dick stabbing, actually.
That was actually a special move you gave my character Igni.
I did,
because she was really good at it before, and you felt so inspired, Ted.
I did.
That she had to have a special move. Yes, and
Beyond Damage Dice 3. There you go.
Beyond Damage Dice 3. Make the dick stab a thing. Well, Wakilo, you are right. Ted is the man for D&D news. So all of you go check out Ted's channels, hit his TikTok, hit his YouTube, check out some of his stuff. You review a lot of Kobold Press stuff, but a lot of other games and many items coming from the tabletop industry. So it will be well worth your time, no doubt. Now, as for Kobold Press announcements, I have a couple for all of you, including the fact that at PAX Unplugged, Alexander has confirmed here in chat that all of the Southlands books, as well as Vault of Magic, will be on sale physical, which is huge. So if you are not into the Southlands, get on that ball, because the 4 Southlands book is no small feat, y'all. 4 books. It's 4 books. It's like 2 campaigns, the player's guide, or like the player's handbook, and then the actual like Southlands setting guide, which is amazing. And then of course Vault of Magic.
Yeah.
Vault of Magic, which is like, it's one of the books I am most excited about. It was like a huge Kickstarter for us. It's coming down the pipeline. And actually, I can announce that on October 30th, Saturday, October 30th, at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be having a Vault of Magic one-shot that is going to be run by Adam Bradford. We're still waiting on the rest of the cast announcements, so I can't make those yet. But Adam's actually going to be using the magic item that he put inside of Vault of Magic, so we'll have like a really fun game for you to pop in and like see some of these magic items in use and what kind of chaos they might actually be able to bring to your games. But in addition, Courts of the Shadow Fae, as well as the new announcement for our Kickstarter, the book of Ebon Tides, has been announced. So what is this? What can I tell you? Well, I'll give you what I can tell you. So first off, if you don't have Courts of the Shadow Fae or are interested in it, you can go check out our YouTube. We did a first season actual play of Courts of the Shadow Fae and only got about halfway through. So season 2 is announced. As of today, we were going to launch October 4th, but due to a personal thing on my end that has recently come up, we are going to be pushing back to Monday the 11th. So it will be returning on Monday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, for 2-hour games. The whole cast is coming back, and it is a stellar cast. Sephi, that's been over on Dimension 20, Eugenio, who GMs for the Motherlands, is part of that cast. It is such an incredible crew. So you can come check that out, and they're going to be starting inside of the big labyrinth in Courts of the Shadow Fae, but they should finish that up pretty quickly. And so I'm excited to be able to tell you that we're going to be bringing some of the content from Ebon Tides to the campaign, because of course it has everything to do with the Shadow Realm. And we'll be kind of expanding on that, much like the Southland setting book. My understanding is that it's going to give you a little bit more lore and knowledge of what being and existing in the Shadow Realm is kind of like, which I think is something that our fans have been begging for quite a while, because Courts is really a campaign. It doesn't give you quite as much grit around the setting itself, and oh boy, I'm excited. There's nothing like evil little elves that make me more excited, so I'm pretty stoked about it. So
Awesome.
There's a lot of things coming down the pipeline here for us, a lot of stuff that you want to keep tuned in on. So the best way to do that is to pick your social media platform of choice and give us a follow. If you want to know when we go live here, because of course we do this every Wednesday, same Kobold time, same Kobold channel, and chat about all things Kobold Press. This is kind of like breaking news for Kobold Press, so you can stay tuned here by giving the channel a follow so you know when we go live. You know, we never turn down a good subscription or bits that help the channel. I think my what does it say? It helps us go from Kobold to Swolbold. Some things never change. So help us go from a Kobold to a Swolbold and support the channel any way you can. This allows us to pay our amazing players and casts that come on here and to keep, you know, turning out content for your eyeballs and your ear holes. So pretty exciting. Well, Ted, I want to say super duper thank you for dropping by, for coming
Anytime.
to chat with me. Maybe this time around, you and I will get a proper chat time at PAX U, since I won't be working two jobs, just the Kobold booth. And it looks like chat says I have to go have a Philly cheesesteak while I'm there, which is actually one of my favorite. I guess it's a sub or a sandwich. There's debate about that. Y'all don't hate
Hoagie
me.
is a common
A
term.
hoagie, okay.
In Philly,
yeah,
so.
okay. So I
We'll
love
get it.
Philly cheesesteak.
We will go to one of the. There's the two places that everybody wants to go. We'll go to the third place that's lesser known but just as good.
Okay. So Chad is correct me. It's just called a cheesesteak.
Yeah, it's just a cheesesteak.
Philly cheesesteaks are one of my favorite, but of course I get them from a local diner here in Atlanta. Which, let's be real, they're heckin' tasty. But I am excited for a proper Philly cheesesteak. Yeah. I think that's it. Thanks everybody for joining us again. Remember, we'll be back here next Wednesday. And if you want some Southland content, we are running a Southlands campaign into the Southlands right now, Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Check our schedule. I had that moment of like, are you saying the right things, Dot? I don't know anymore. But thank you all so much. Give us a follow. And if nothing else, we will see all of you again next week for Kobold Chats. Thanks, Ted, for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Bye, everybody.